Many of us are caught with many committee meetings, and far be it from me to say that committee meetings have been a source of grace or a source of deepening spirituality. But I do have to let you know immediately that over the last 4 or 5 years, working with this committee and meeting many of the people involved with stewardship has perhaps been one of the most exciting, tremendous experiences in my life. In fact, I can tell you honestly, it has made a difference in my life. It has made me reflect on basic values, basic beliefs, and basic convictions, which are not only something I have to believe with my head, but something that makes a difference in my heart. Being part of this committee over the last 4 or 5 years has been a grace. Let me place the pastoral letter on stewardship in perspective. Its origin really comes from a volume which I happened to introduce at an administrative board meeting, where the volume really tried to address the issue of how do we get the resources to continue the mission and ministry of Jesus. With inflation, with new demands, the resources available to us were not just there. And so as a result, the volume was introduced, the committee was formed, and we were asked to study how do we respond to the volume. And the volume really tried to look at the reality of the way in which the mission and ministry of Jesus needs to be continued today, needs to be continued in healthcare, charities, missionary work, the life of the church in our parishes, dioceses, and world. The resources which the church needs to continue its mission and ministry do not fall from heaven, just as the manna did to feed the Jewish people. Rather, as we all know, the generosity of our people provides the resources for the church to continue the ministry of Jesus in the world today. But as the Committee on Stewardship reflected on the challenge of providing resources for the needs of the church, it realized quickly that people are tremendously responsive to the dramatic and urgent needs which are portrayed dramatically on television or through the media. Whether it was the starvation in Somalia, the flooding in the Middle West, the hurricanes that wreaked havoc in Florida and elsewhere, and other human disasters which come to our attention. What is amazing, my friends, we respond to the emergency situation and we feel good about it. But long after the emergency ends, the hunger is still there, the homelessness is there, the flooding is still there. The biggest question that the Committee on Stewardship tried to face was how do we respond to these needs? How do we respond to the gospel message of Jesus Christ in a sustained, workable way? The Committee on Stewardship knew it could raise the consciousness of people to these dramatic needs and encourage them to respond. The committee also knew that there are the many ways in which the professional fundraisers can help the church ask people for greater support. In fact, Bishop McManus said at one of our early meetings we could finish our task right away by calling the committee, instead of one on stewardship, of calling it a committee on fundraising. We could publish all the wonderful work that has been done by the professional people and share it with the dioceses and parishes in our country. Yet, the Committee on Stewardship envisioned its task as something far more radical, far more fundamental. We realized that stewardship is part of faith. It is one of the chief characteristics of what it means to be a disciple of Jesus. Stewardship is a lifestyle that reflects who we are and what we believe. My friends, in many ways, as you gather at the beginning of Advent, that whole question of who we are and what we believe, that's what this pastoral letter is about. It's about asking us to look at our hearts and our minds and to experience the conversion to which we are called if we dare to take the risk, of really trying to examine the fundamental questions of life. It goes beyond the mere sharing of one's resources. It goes beyond the issue of money. The stewardship pastoral, if you look at it carefully, mentions finances twice in the entire 64 pages. That is not what people expected, because stewardship, as we look at it and we reflect upon it, it goes beyond sharing one's resources. It goes beyond the mere sharing of financial gifts that have been given to us, but asks us to do something far more difficult, and that is to share ourselves, to share our time, our abilities, our ministry, our relationships. Stewardship is really a call to be a holy people.